Today was awful, and with everything that's happened, I'm simply left with more questions than answers. I thought it would do me good to call my parents and see how they were doing, just so I interacted with someone. Honestly, I didn't care who I talked to, I just wanted to hear another voice. My basement apartment doesn't get any service, so I had to go to the top floor in order to contact anyone. I left my room, not worrying at all about the hallway. I hadn't imagined any of my friends or family since my trip to the main floor last night, which was good. I was over that. I was about to talk to my parents, see the sunshine for the first time in 5 days, and maybe even step out for a bit of fresh air. I got off the elevator at the top floor and got my phone out. I sat on a bench and opened my phone to call my parents. I began dialing the long-since memorized number, but stopped halfway through. Through everything that had happened, I'd almost forgotten. They left the country on a vacation to New Zealand and weren't returning for another 2 months. Knowing the price of international calls and texts, I closed the dialing and decided to call my friend instead to see if she wanted to get lunch with me. I searched through the contacts and found the name I was looking for. I pressed my finger to the screen and pulled up Mary's contact. I hadn't spoken to her in a little over a week and remembered how good of friends we used to be before college. We dated throughout high school, but decided to stay friends and hung out our whole senior year until we graduated and we parted ways. She only lived about an hour from my house, but we just never got around to seeing each other. We texted and called occasionally, but we hadn't been the same since senior year. I clicked on the picture in her contacts and smiled when I saw her face. Her smile lit up her whole face. She was one of the happiest people I knew. She had an uncanny ability to make people around her happy as well. She could get along with anyone. Perhaps that's why we got along so well together, because I've always been almost the exact opposite. I'm pretty shy and don't get along well with others, but when I do make a friend, it's always a close relationship. She never knew, but even after we broke up at the end of junior year and decided to be friends, I never stopped liking her. I closed the picture and clicked the number next to her name. I held the phone to my ear, hoping she would pick up. Before the first ring was even finished, it stopped, and I heard the static from the other side. Hello? Mary? I called into the phone, but heard no response. I could hear breathing on the other side, but no one answered. Do you have time to talk? I just thought we could catch up. Hey, John. I was flushed with a sense of relief. It felt so good to hear another voice. However, I still noticed that she seemed to stutter into the phone as if she was choked up over something. Everything okay? I asked, slightly concerned, and she replied, Yeah, what do you want? I was taken aback by her remark. This was not like Mary. Okay, I've just been cooped up inside for days working on the school project. I was wondering if you wanted to get some lunch together. I was hoping she could. It had been forever since I had seen her, and I didn't realize how much I had missed her until I heard her voice. As I waited for her response, I wondered what had made her so angry. No, I don't want anything to do with you, she said angrily into the phone, and then hung up. I slowly lowered my phone and sat there in shock. Mary and I had never had a fight since we broke up, and even that wasn't a big fight, just a little argument, and then an agreement to stay friends. I tried to think if I had done anything that might have made her mad, but couldn't come up with anything. I put my phone away and walked to the vending machine for a Coke. I put in my dollar and received the can. I opened it and went to take a sip as I walked to the elevator when the Coke fell out of my hand and spilled onto my clothes as it fell to the ground, busting all over my shoes. I stared out the doors and was stricken with confusion. I hadn't noticed when I was on my phone, but as the night before, there still wasn't a person to be seen on the streets. This was completely impossible. Lunchtime in Los Angeles, there should be traffic covering the whole town. I gazed out the door and asked myself how this could be. After a few minutes, I got up and walked back to the elevator. I needed to change my clothes. I was soaked from the knees down in Coke and wanted to change. I rode the elevator down, and as I stood in the enclosed room, I felt a strange presence, as if something was in the elevator with me. I looked around and saw nothing, and when the doors opened, I stepped out and began my way down the hall. I heard the doors begin to close, and then heard something that chilled me to the bone. I heard another human. There was no doubt about that. It came from behind me. It came from the elevator, and I heard it go, Psst, as someone might do to get another's attention. I slowly turned, scared of what I might see, and as I turned around, I saw a horrific sight. Right as the doors were about to close, I saw Mary. I know that's what I saw, but it wasn't right. It was messed up. It looked just like her, except for the eyes and that smile. Her eyes were huge, bulging with yellow irises. The worst part was that the pupils were missing, only yellow globes that stared into my soul. She smiled, not a regular smile, but a huge smile that showed all of her top and bottom teeth stretched much bigger than any smile could ever be, exaggerated to horrific proportions. I only caught a quick glance, but it was enough to send me dashing to my room screaming. I slammed the door behind me and locked it, pushing a table and a couch in front of the door. It took me almost 3 hours to calm down and attempt to write this down. I know it wasn't really Mary, but it was so real, so vivid in my mind. However, one part about it, one specific detail, horrifies me and makes my blood run ice cold. I've dwelled for hours on it, and it chills my bones every time I think of it, and I can't get it off of my mind. The one part about Mary, about that thing, is that it spoke to me. Never before had one of my imagined people been capable of making a sound that just been there, never interacted with anything, or let alone spoken. This Mary that I saw, she interacted with me. She beckoned at me, called out to me to get my attention, and then smiled at me. I'm horrified to think of seeing that demon again. I don't know that I can withstand it. Writing this down has helped some, allowing me to think about everything that's happened today. Perhaps my horrific vision of her was altered by my interaction with her today. Prior to today, my memory of her had been sweet, therefore my imagined Mary, doppelganger, if you will, was sweet, calm, and quiet, just like her. However, perhaps my experience with her today shocked me so much that the doppelganger was altered, taking form of something evil to reflect the shock I felt when speaking with her today. There's something else, though, something weird about that phone call. I can't think of what it is, but I know something about that call wasn't right. There's something about... I got it. When I called, she picked up before it had rung once. No one could possibly answer that fast unless they were waiting for the call, as if she was expecting me to call her. I need time to reflect on this. After all today's events, I can't be sure what's real and what isn't. I only hope that I never see this doppelganger again. So what scares me the most, however, is that it called to me. They've never been able to do that, but it learned. What caused it to be able to speak, I do not know, but I only hope that it doesn't continue to learn. Perhaps if it can learn to speak, it can learn to touch. I don't want to think about it anymore. I'm going to sleep. I don't want to leave my room anymore. I think I might email Mary tomorrow and ask her what her problem was. Maybe I can find an answer that will calm my imagination. Anything to keep Mary's doppelganger from showing again.